Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Decryption and I hope you are well. From the very start of this game here, we've been using ALS. Specifically, the community version. It's a big C++ based Advanced Locomotion System, and it works great for the most part. The problem I have with it, it's not straightforward to change things, upgrade things, add new things. You absolutely can do it, 100%, if you take the time to go and learn it. It's also quite old at this point. The latest release was over a year, nearly 2 years ago. And whilst it's worked fine for now, we've had our odd problems with it. We only used it because there were no really any alternatives that were free. Since Unreal 5.4, 5.5, they've released a game animation sample. It's that big thing where you see everybody parkouring over everywhere. Fine. Whilst we don't need that heavy amount of parkour, it absolutely adds a bunch of essential things into the game for us. It will give us access to brand new technologies such as the motion warping, which, since we've got a mocap suit, we can absolutely take advantage of to move the player during animations in an almost seamless way. We've also got access to the motion matching system, so when we're running or we're doing an action, we can use the tables to pick the correct animation that will match in and make it look nicer. Whilst my game's not going to need the advancedness of this, and I will most likely eventually replace half of this, I don't need 800 plus animations from our basic movement, so I'll probably strip that down and put a new one in. But it's all there for us. So, in today's tutorial, we're going to take a look at the Gasp Animation project, and we're going to migrate it into our project and replace ALS with it. So let's get started. So the biggest thing first is to click the game animation sample, download it. It's a free Unreal project. I'm running it in 5.6 because my project is running in 5.6, but I believe it's supported in, I think, 5.4 plus. So the first thing to do is generally to download it and just play around with it for a moment. Get used to it because this is what the game's going to be. So I've started the game and you've all seen the demos. I'm not going to go and demo it to you. And if you've not seen it, you might be living under a rock, as they say, because it's based on, this big thing Unreal presented to everybody. And when there's a microphone in way of your screen, you can't see what you're doing. But yes, it's got all sorts of parkour, which is what ALS has got. And there are some quirks to it, like you can only specifically climb over this very specific blueprint, which is not great unless you want it like that. But there's a mod out there, I can't remember who published it, but you can change that. So how do we migrate it from this project to our YouTube project, and then how do we change it over? It's not going to be a small amount of work, I won't lie, but I'm going to skip over all of that and just show you how to do it, and then we're going to get there. The biggest thing how I found out everything we needed to do is I just went to the world settings. The world settings has your game mode in it, which drives the entire game. Like, I don't care about these boxes, this floor, these teleporters. That I don't need to worry about, none of them. I want to know about the character itself that spawns in and how they are controlled. So I come to the game mode and I just started looking down at each part. So I go into the game mode. Is there any code? Nope, nothing in there. It's based on the standard game mode base, so it's nothing new, and there's no variables or anything. So we can basically almost ignore the game mode. But the game mode's point is it controls everything else. So we've got down here all of this is standard. The only two differences are the pawn, which will open up, and the player controller, which will open up. So these are the main two things we need. And you can see the player controller here has got a bunch of stuff on it. The first thing I'll note, just because I've added some notes for myself, is this here. It's got a fix for Android in order to change how the touch works. I don't need that. Delete it. My game's not going to be on Android. That's fine. And then it's got this next character switcher. You might not want that if you're just doing a single character game. Get rid of it. That's fine. You can just delete that as well and save some space, because then you don't have to copy over this player controller. However, my game is going to have that. Surprise. I bet none of you saw that coming. The game I am working on does actually have a plan to continue being worked on. part of it is you get to change your characters. So I'm actually going to keep this in, but what I'm going to do is come down to the characters and just remove the ones I don't want. Because otherwise we're dragging stuff over to our project that we don't need. So we may as well remove the references. So I'm going to remove the metahuman, because we don't need that one. And I'm going to remove Echo, the UE4 mannequin, Quinn, and the basic. And I'm just going to keep the standard sandbox character, because that's where everything is built off of this character. And I'm going to keep the Twin Blast, because that's the easiest one, I believe, to convert our characters over to. So now that we've got that, I'm going to basically come in here and I'm actually going to move everything I want to keep, as far as I'm aware, into its own folder. And what that means is when we migrate it into our other project in here, we've already got a specified definition that I'm using. Yours may be different, but that's what we have. We don't want this Gasp animation system mixing up with all of our folders when we don't need it to. So what I'm going to do is come back to content, right click, new folder, and I will just do Gasp. So I'm going to take the audio, blueprints and characters, input, MISC and widgets, and I'm going to move all of them into the Gasp folder. It will say it's got a lot of assets to load. This may take a little bit of time, so just let it chug through. You'll note I've not moved the level prototyping, levels and metahumans. The level prototyping and levels I don't need to worry about at all. I'm not bringing them across with me. And the metahumans, same reason. I'm not bringing them across. If your game is using a metahuman, you very well may need to bring that one across, because I don't know if it's got any extra features. I've not had to look at that one. So whilst this is taking a while to save, I'm going to jump back into my main project and I'm going to go to Edit, Plugins, and I'm going to come and enable some of the plugins that we need in order to make this work. So the first one is our motion warping. So I'll come and enable that. It is beta. It does mean it should work, but there may be bugs. I'm also going to enable animation warping. I'm going to enable post search. And then I'm also going to come and enable the gameplay camera, which is already enabled for mine, which is good. Something this project doesn't highlight on a lot is it's got a brand new camera system where you code, as far as I can tell, individual functions to how a camera is controlled. And it allows you to really fine-grain how your camera acts in the world when you're doing things, such as you'll have a crouch camera, a running camera, a walking camera, an attacking finisher, all sorts like that. So with those plugins enabled, the only other thing we need to do, if you go to Edit Project Settings, is there is actually some variables we need to enable. So if you just search for CVARs, here, we've got this CVARs array. It's not something I've ever used before, but it's a way to add custom variables and console commands in here. I've got it copied here, so I can just copy and paste it into there like that. And I've got it all copied and pasted. You can get this just by doing the exact same thing in the other project. So in here, now it's moved majority of it over, hopefully. Let's just compile that. If you go to Edit Project Settings and search for CVARs, you'll see it's all there. So just hold Shift and right click to copy it, and then Shift left click to paste it in your project. And now that we've done that, we can try the migration. So what I'm going to do is come to the game mode, click it, and you can see it's in our blueprints folder. And I'm going to right click the GM sandbox, and I'm just going to come and do Asset Actions Migrate. Now, if any of you have spoke to me over Discord before or seen previous videos, you know I don't normally migrate tools like this or plugins. If it's something like an asset pack or an animation or something, I tend to just copy it like for like into my project, because then I can place it in the root and then just move it. However, with a system like this, it's more complicated. There's a lot more moving parts. It's generally easy just to migrate it. So you can see it's wanted to save a bunch because we moved it around. That's all fine. Yep, keep going. And we can now see everything it's trying to bring with us. So we can just come down and double check that it's everything in the Gasp folder. And it is taking the level prototyping, mainly because it's got some textures in there. Okay, so it's trying to do that because it's got to use these cubes for our climbing. We do want that even though we're going to patch it, so I will accept that one as well. But there we go. So it's a lot easier than having it spread across tons of different folders. So I'm going to come and click OK, and it'll say, hey, where do you want to put it? So I don't want it in my backup project where I was testing this. So I'm going to come and place it in my content folder. You just go to the content folder and you click open. That's it. And you'll see it already exists, level prototyping, solid blue, blah blah blah. Do you want to overwrite it? Yes, I will, that's fine, because I don't use that folder for anything special anyway. It will probably left over from the starter kit when we first set the project. It's got a lot of packages to move, but that's okay. It's a big system. Remember, 800 or so of them are animations, so that's fine. There we are, and we can now officially close that project. We're pretty much done with it. If you do need it for any reason, feel free to keep it open on a different screen or minimize it so you can come back and compare things. For me, I've done this, I know we're all good. So you'll see in the project now, we do have our Gasp folder, which is fantastic. So we've got everything in there we need. So I'm just going to come and open a dead quick demo map. So we'll just come to the Pantheon gates because it's a simple map. And in theory, we can just come to world settings. And then we can come to our game mode. And we can just see you've now got the sandbox character. So when you select it, Unreal will lag for a bit. That's fine. Just make sure you reboot Unreal since enabling those plugins. Otherwise, this isn't going to work. So I'll let my Rider installation restart or restart Unreal and load it back up. And with that rebooted and loaded back up, we can just in theory click play. So you can see I'm in. We've officially migrated Gasp into our project. Relatively, it's a 10-minute job if that. I spent more time explaining than working on it. And if you're starting from a fresh project, it's even easier. You'll notice, however, we can't climb anything. And as I said, the current version of Gasp only lets you climb very specific things. For some reason, why they've made it like that, I'm not 100% sure. But if we get the traversable blueprint here and just drop that in, click play, we'll be able to climb that blueprint. So you see, we can come over, climb it, and there you go. All seamlessly works, just like that. Coming from a different angle, yeah, you've seen it before. Like I say, there is a mod you can come in to fix that, and when I figure out what they've actually changed or replacing it, I'll put something out to help you if you need it. I'll put a link in the description for if you want it, but it basically just turns everything, instead of using these splines to tell you where to grab, it just basically does a line trace and tells you this is where to grab. So the next thing we need to do, however, is we have a full character setup, system, inventory, everything. We need that back. Now, if you were using ALS before, this is where it gets a bit more tricky. If you've just got a standard third-person character, just move to using that and move your bits across, that's it. But the first thing we'll do, let's make our Cinti character the actual character you control. And this video was entirely copied from Clyde, Royal Skies, who copied it from Clyde, and I've copied it from them. Super, super simple to do. All I'm going to do is come to my main character, the animation blueprint sandbox character. I will right click it and do retarget animations. I'll then single click the sandbox character. I'll come and find my skeleton. Now in my case, I have quite a few skeletons to do this on because I have the different characters in game, but I'll work my way slowly around to those. So I'm going to search for my elven soldier, so that's pretty much my character, and I'll click export retarget assets, not animations, just the assets. I'll come into my animations folder, polygon elven, and I'll just add a new folder inside called Gasp. And I'll click export, and you'll see it's exported everything we need like that. I'm going to rename the IK retargeter just so it's a bit more easier, so I'll call it IKR_polygon elven. Then I'm going to come and do a search for the generic retarget, which is an animation blueprint they've built into Gasp. And I'm going to open it up, because you'll notice if you play around with the Gasp system, you can change characters. And then all I'm going to do is in the IK retargeter map, down here, you'll see we've got 6 entries here. And this is basically who you can retarget to and what you can do with it. I can actually remove most of these because we don't actually need them. Because I'm not changing to any of these specifically, like so. I'll click add. I'll add our name of our IK retargeter in. So in my case, I called it IKR Polygon Elven. And I will just come and set it to IKR Polygon Elven, just like that. I'm going to move this to the top. Then I'll hit compile and save. The final thing I'm going to do is come back to the Gasp characters folder. We have in the blueprints retargeted characters folder, we have our Twin Blast character. So I'm just going to come and duplicate this. And I will call it Sandbox Character Polygon Elven. And I'll open this up. And then simply come and select the twin blast mesh. I'm just going to rename it to skeleton. And I'm going to set it to my polygon elven soldier. And you'll notice this, if there's a bug, it doesn't update. Just compile, save, close off, and open it back up again. And you'll see it has successfully imported. Not great, but we'll fix that in a moment. Then I'm going to come and search for tag. And you'll see we've got this tag on the skeleton itself, saying which one to remap it to. So I'm just going to come and set the name IKR, and you can see it fixes it perfectly. If I hit compile and save, I can then press Ctrl B to select this pawn specifically, come into the game, and on my game mode I can set the default pawn there. It might be nicer if you actually set it directly on here instead, because then it always sets it no matter what level you go into. But I can now click play and you can see I have my fully worked Sinti character. All Gasp generated and working. And the better part is I had a few glitches with my ALS system that the hands didn't fully grab. This is pretty much smooth as it can really get, really, which is a nice thing. And this is nothing against ALS. It's a fantastic system. I just don't use half the features of it, so I'm moving away from it. And I've used ALS in countless projects now. So, for the most part, we've kind of done it. But if you followed any of my videos, it kind of means nothing works anymore. The player controller's not got all the code on it, the pawn's not got all the code on it. But it's an easy fix to do. So we can start moving away from ALS slowly. So what I'm going to do is come out and open my pawn here, but I'm going to come and open up the base pawn, this one here. This one is the one that every other pawn shares that's in this project, but it also is the one that every character's going to work from for my playable characters. And you can see it's got all the different Gasp code in here, but it's also a benefit because then we can come and modify this to replace them with game playability system code as well. It's all here, it's not hidden away, it's nicely done. So I'm just going to come and add a new graph here called Game Systems, just to keep the Gasp stuff away from our main one. And then I'm going to come and search for my player. In my ALS game mode, that took me a minute to find, I've got my player pawn, so we'll open that one up. And then basically I can just start coming taking everything I need. And then we'll create the functions and everything we need. So the order I find the easiest to do it is I'll click class settings and I'll start with any interfaces. So I have a BPI character interface. So back on my sandbox character, I'm just going to come to class settings and add this interface. So BPI character. We can open it up and see what functions it's got. So you see it's got a lot of functions, but that's okay. We'll start off one by one. So I'm just going to move this to my other screen so I can read down them. And then all we're going to do is come to the character for our new system. I'll come to interfaces and I'll go down them. So the first one is send to jail. So I'll double click it. I'll cut it, add it to a new event graph called jail system. And then I'm going to come back to the ALS character and I'll go into the jail system. I'm just going to copy this code and I'm just going to come and paste it in here like so. If it all goes well and you've added the interface, it will actually match up the interface perfectly, which is fantastic. Then I can come into combat, which is going to be replaced soon, but I'll take it anyway. I'll come back to my old one and I'll add combat and paste it in. You'll see the odd variable is going to freak out, but we will fix those shortly. I'll come into cheats, which is our big system that I absolutely love adding into games. Paste it in, and it'll say, what would you like to do with these functions that don't exist? For now, I'm just going to keep it as do nothing and just click confirm. Just go straight through. It'll error with these, so don't worry about that for now. And then I'll jump to the event graph and I'll copy all of this into the game systems event graph, just like so. Confirm, we don't want to do anything, that's fine. But then we can start jumping through all of the interfaces again now that we've copied all of that in. So get character movement component for ALS. We don't actually need any of the ALS stuff anymore, I don't think. So I'm going to leave that undone for now and we'll see if we need to add it later. AI, I'm going to double click into get old follow actor. I'll come and find the relevant function in here. You can see we've got nothing there, and set actor to follow, we've got nothing in there either. So I'll just undo those and I undo this one, we don't need it. Get faction is one we're going to need, so I will come and double click that faction. And then it will most likely simply add it to a variable. Yeah, there we go. So I'll copy the variable, just paste it in here and connect it up. And then if we hit compile, you'll see we will get a lot of errors. Well, not too bad, actually. But all we're simply going to do is right-click, create variable. And it should retain the correct data type. So as we click compile, it will error. We click the next one, and we'll keep adding it. So you'll see it's warning that we haven't got some components. So let's go and add everything we need. So on the old one, I've got the navigation marker and the equipment. So let's come and add those components. I've also got the attack damage, so we'll copy that and paste it just under the mesh. So about there, attack damage. Hit compile and let's see if it all syncs up. And of course it kicks us out, that's fine. Compile again, there we go. Click target again. So set view mode, this is an entirely ALS one. So for now, I'm just going to delete this, wrap this in a move to third person camera, because that's something we can investigate when we learn more about the camera system. And we've got another one here, so I'll just delete this one, connect these up so everything still works, and here I will add a comment, move to FPS. I'll hit compile, and you'll see it has successfully saved a bit, which is good. Because that means everything is roughly moved across the best it can. We've got a couple more we can just double check, so if I check the gameplay tags, you see we've already copied all this across, and I believe it's already created the variables for us, has it? So I've got a few more errors, but that's completely okay. We'll just keep going down, confirming backwards and forwards what we need to add. So that's a temporary recipe system, what we don't need, because that was for testing. Gameplay tags I'll just create as a variable, and you'll see it has indeed created the correct data type because it knows what it needs. I'll keep hitting compile and just fixing the errors one by one. So we have an event dispatcher here. So for this, we just need to create this manually. All it is a gameplay tag container. So I'll just copy the name, come back to mine, add an event dispatcher, paste it in, and then I'll just come and give it an input of gameplay tags. I will set it to a gameplay tag container. And you'll see it'll all sync up, hit compile. Because Unreal's quite clever like that. It does manage to get itself nicely joined together sometimes. So this was an event begin play where I just add a helmet. I don't need that, so we can get rid of that for now. Hit compile and just keep going down it. That's just grabbing things from ALS, so we don't need that anymore. Hit compile. It's going to be very different for every person who does it. Every game's going to be completely different. Why are you so far away? So obviously I need to clean this code up a little bit there, but as it stands, that's probably all of the code from the pawn moved onto here. There might be some stuff that I'm missing that we'll figure out in the game, which is why I'm not going to delete this immediately until I've pretty much retested everything. The next part is the player controller. So I'm going to come back to my ALS game mode. I'll turn off the pawn and I'll come and open up my controller. And now the benefit of this is the controller for the Gasp system isn't actually that complicated. There's not a lot to it. So this should be a relatively easy one to copy across. So we'll start again. We'll start with an interface. So we do have an interface. I'll come and add my own interface to it. BPI player controller. I'll check for the interfaces. So we've got get world controller, which just gets the world controller system I've got. Connect it up. We'll create that as a variable. We've got end interact, which is our narrative interaction. So back here, begin interact, end interact, and I'll just add that into there. You'll see it's complaining it doesn't know what the narrative interaction is. If you right click it, it will try to create it as a variable, but I know this is actually a component in my case. So I'll copy those, come and paste those in. That will sync up nicely, look. Get player's HUD. I'll just copy the HUD, add it to here, and this is all you really do. Obviously, if you're into a game you've been working on for 5-6 years, this is going to be a big process to do. But if it's something you want or need, it's going to be key. So there's all the interfaces done. I've got no event dispatchers, so I can come straight to the other functions. We've got one function called update holiday events, so I'll just come and copy that and paste that into my functions, like so. Set global time dilation. I think that's an ALS thing. I don't remember doing that, so we'll leave that. But now I can come into all of my stuff here. So I'll go to the event graph. I'll copy all of this back into the sandbox. I'll create a new event graph called game systems, and I'll just paste it in. It'll say, what do you want to do with this function? Just click confirm and ignore it for now. I'll come back to the player controller. I'll go into the interact one. So that's where that one was, so we've already fixed that. Holiday events, I'll come and copy all this code. Back to my sandbox, add another one, holiday events. Like I say, this is entirely specific to everybody's game. I very doubt any of you have got 100% the same game as me, but that's okay. We'll now hit compile and we'll just fix the variables that it complains about. If any of them are erroring and the event already exists, just right click refresh and hit compile and it should sync up, look. So we can come down, refresh this, compile, there we go. And it's all syncing up nicely now. It sometimes gets a bit confused. And if I hit compile, you'll see everything has compiled nicely. So as it stands of moving things across, that's pretty much everything Gasp is got to do with it. We do have some extra ones on our ALS that we've set up, such as the player state. So I'll just come and open this up, check it out. It's just my inventory code. So I can essentially take this one, come back to my Gasp game mode and just assign the player state to it. Like so. It's not ALS specific. It's got nothing to do with ALS. I can just assign it. Now if I hit play, you'll see we have our character. We've got our map. We've got our HUD. Everything's synced up. I press tab. Nothing happens. So we'll need to double check why our tab's not working. I can still climb. If we run over to these guys over here, can we talk to them? We can, but it doesn't work still. So we've got a few errors with our keys not working. And this is going to be down to the input mapping contexts. So on your character, if you scroll up to your event graph, on event begin play, you'll see it does some things and it does set up input here. If we double click that one, you can see it adds the mapping context. It's how you add controls to your pawn. So if I come and open this one up here, IMC Sandbox, we've got a bunch of different ones there. We can even start removing ones if we don't need them, but I'll do that later. But if we come to our ALS one, if we look around enough, I cannot for the life of me remember where it does it, but it's just in this input folder. You'll find it eventually. If I open it up, you can see I've got a bunch of different IAs here that I've not moved across as well. So I'm just going to come and select the ones I want. So interact, attack, open map, quest journal. I've typically called mine IA. So I can grab those and I'll just move them into the new input folder. You can see we've got a bunch there. In our IMC sandbox, we can now add the ones we want. So for me, I'm just going to do interact for now, which is an already existing one they've set up as E. So because it already exists, we don't want two of them. So we'll just make sure to rename this to _old in the ALS folder so we don't redo it. But the other ones we're gonna want are our open inventory one. So I just drop that in and I'll just set it to a tab key. And then back on our sandbox character, if we look for the enhanced input interact here, you can see it's using the old one because it's the ALS one if you hover over it. So I'll just delete that, drag off and do IA interact. And you'll see we've got the new one here. Started goes to begin, cancelled or completed goes to end. Like compile, save. Let's give it a try now. Play the game, press tab. I have my inventory. And after Unreal crashes, because it's Unreal, we can come back, press tab again, and you can see we have our full inventory all working, which is perfect. Equipment doesn't work yet, but I've not really put that in the first place. Come over to these guys. Can we interact with them? We can. And everything works very loudly. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. So that is pretty much it. I haven't finished updating all of my game yet. There are still some aspects I need to move across, which is fine. But the key thing is, once you think you're ready and you think you've removed everything, what you can do is come into your ALS folder, find where your player is. Then if you right click and do reference here, it will show you everything that's using it. So the typical way to look at it is everything on the left. Everything on the right is what your blueprint is using, so we don't need to worry about that. But everything on the left is what's using your character. So you can see here, temp switching is still using this, so that's just because I've dragged them into it. So I can go and delete that, I can ignore that. Sandbox character is still referencing this ALS blueprint, so I need to see why. Jail cell is probably casting to them for something we couldn't do with a interface. ALS game mode, we can ignore that, and the HUD is using it. So I'm going to go through these parts here, find what's casting to that character, and start removing it. And when this left side is completely empty, I can do the same on the controller, and then I can officially delete it off. So for example, let's come and edit this sandbox character. Something is using this ALS character in here. Oh, which is literally just my character switching. So I'll change these over to my just a basic sandbox character for now, while I was just testing things. The get's gonna error, so just drag it back out again. Hit compile, come back to the reference viewer, hit the refresh button, and you will see that reference has disappeared. And that's all you need to do. It's easier to go through all the manual steps you know what to do at the beginning, and then come back to this, otherwise it'll be everywhere. So I'm going to crack on doing all of that, but that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. If we come back to the main world now, then I can come and safely switch my world settings to my new sandbox. If we right click, play from here, I am in the game with my new Gasp system. I don't know, it feels better already. Like, because the camera's zoomed in, it feels more lively, like the world's here. I've still got some things to fix, like some of my NPCs are still using the old ALS system, but there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That is how you replace ALS with Gasp using Cinti as well. So these videos haven't really been tutorials as of late, we've just been upgrading the system, but if you're following along with the odd tutorial here and there, it's a key one for you to do if you are still following it. If you're still sticking with ALS, that's okay too. But I'm looking forward to trying this new technology in the game, such as the gameplay camera. I'm looking forward to using that one to code in different cameras, which will work great for the boat, potentially. But there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this was useful. Have you replaced Gasp? Have you replaced ALS in your game with any specific one? Have you just gone to a custom one? Like, there's that one YouTuber, I can't remember his name, completely gone. He's working on ALS and adding all sorts of stuff to the point where with a drag and drop, you've got an Uncharted game. It's insane. It's so good. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you've got any issues below or any suggestions. My name is Decryption, and I will see you next time.